The hallway light buzzed like it always did, flickering with that tired amber hue that never quite reached the corners. The kind of light that makes a man feel like he's underwater in his own home. That's where I was pressed up against the bedroom door, silent, my hands still on the knob, listening. Inside, her voice was low, coiled, whispering into her phone. The kind of whisper that wasn't meant to be heard, soft and tight and full of things you're not supposed to say when you've got a husband sleeping down the hall and a daughter with chicken pox tossing in her sheets. I wasn't meant to hear the laugh, that half-giggled breath like she'd forgotten she was someone's mother, someone's wife. I told you I'd sneak away next time. He's clueless. I didn't move. I didn't knock. I just stared at the door, memorizing the wood grain like it was the last thing tethering me to the life I thought I had. When the voice stopped, when the silence poured back into the cracks of the house, I walked away. Not back to her bed. No. I went outside. It was January. Cold enough to freeze the rain on the patio furniture. I stood barefoot in the yard, watching the neighbor's dog bark at the fence like it knew something was off. I didn't smoke, but I felt like I should have had one. Something to hold. Something to burn. It started with the perfume. 3 weeks ago. Not the kind you buy at Target. This one came in a black glass bottle with gold writing. Noir Fleur. Expensive. Mysterious. Nothing like her usual vanilla sugar scent. I remember asking her about it while she was brushing her hair, her back to me. New. I said. She didn't turn around. Got it from the office white elephant thing. I stared at the box in the trash can. Still had the receipt inside. Saks. $212. Nobody spends that on a gag gift. I didn't say anything. I just stored it. Like a chip on my tongue. I'd grown used to doing that. Then there was the car. She started driving the old route again. The one she used to take when she worked at Wilkins Financial 2 years ago. But now she worked remote out of the den. Claimed she needed fresh air drives to reset her brain. I checked her gas mileage. Yeah, I know how that sounds. Pathetic. But I did. And it didn't match the routes she said she was taking. I asked her once, casually, you meet up with any old coworkers? She barely glanced up from her tablet. Nah. Just drive and listen to podcasts. That was it. The thing is, when someone's lying to you and they're good at it, they don't trip over themselves. They don't get nervous. They get efficient. Mechanical. It's like watching a magician. Once you know where the trick is hidden, every movement is suspicious. 2 nights ago, she came home late. Said she was at a book club. I asked what book. She blinked. What? What book are you guys reading? She stared at me a second too long. Where the crawdads sing. You know, that one everyone talks about. Except I read that one 2 years ago. And she hated it. Called it Swampy Girl Trauma Lit. But now it was her favorite? That night, I checked her bag when she showered. No book. No notes. Just a change of underwear. A toothbrush. A tube of lipstick I'd never seen her wear in our entire marriage, deep, blood red. It wasn't about the lipstick. It was about the lie. I drove the route she'd taken. I found the parking garage near the Hilton. I didn't confront her. I just sat in my car, 2 levels below, waiting. Watching the elevator shaft for movement. At 10:14 p.m. I saw her step out. Not alone. He was tall, with that kind of clean smugness, ironed jeans, pressed shirt, jacket folded over his arm like he was doing her a favor. They walked side by side like it wasn't their first time. She didn't touch him. But she didn't not touch him either. And then she laughed. That same stupid laugh. I followed them. He took her to a sushi bar, the one with those candles and glass bowls and tablecloths they change between courses. I watched them sit, watched him pour her wine. Watched her drink it like it tasted better coming from someone else's hand. I went home. Didn't scream. Didn't slam doors. She got home at 1:07 a.m. hair messy. Eyes glassy. I sat in the kitchen, lights off. Just the glow from the fridge. She jumped when she saw me. You scared me, she said, laughing. What are you doing up? I didn't answer. Just looked at her. She fidgeted. You okay? I nodded slowly. She smiled. Like I was a kid having a nightmare. Kissed my forehead. Said, go back to bed, babe. I watched her walk down the hall, her heels clicking on the wood. Each click felt like a countdown. And I knew. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't a phase. This was a woman who had left the room a long time ago. I was just the last one to notice. The next day was Sunday. We were supposed to visit her parents for brunch. That was our tradition, the thing she always pushed for, like showing up to a beige house filled with passive-aggressive comments and overcooked eggs was the backbone of our marriage. She was up before me, humming in the kitchen, wearing that lemon-colored blouse she only wore when she wanted to look fresh. She made coffee like she hadn't come home reeking of wine and someone else's aftershave 5 hours ago. I watched her from the hallway. The back of her, the sway of her hips. If I didn't know what I knew, I might have kissed her neck, whispered something dumb. But now? She was a stranger. A stranger in my hoodie, using my mug, pouring my daughter's cereal. I said nothing. Just stood there until she noticed. "Oh, morning," she chirped. "You want eggs?" I looked her dead in the eyes. "What hotel was it last night?" She froze. It was subtle. A twitch in her hand, a half blink. But I caught it. "What?" "Don't lie to me," I said. "Just don't." "I saw you." Silence. Then she scoffed, actually scoffed. "Jesus, Mark? Are you spying on me now?" "No," I said, stepping into the kitchen. "I just happened to be downtown. Saw you and your friend." She leaned back against the counter, arms crossed, eyes narrowing like she was the one offended. "You've been acting weird for weeks. This is why, isn't it? You've been following me." "I asked you a question," I said low. "What hotel?" She smiled. Smiled like I was some child throwing a tantrum. "Hilton Garden. Room 412. You want the Wi-Fi password too." That laugh? Cold. Cruel. Like she knew I wouldn't leave. Like she thought she'd broken me so cleanly that I wouldn't even bleed. "Why?" I asked. She rolled her eyes. "Because I wanted to. Because I was bored. Because Tyler makes me feel like I exist." "Pick one." She said it like it meant nothing. Like the words were just confetti she could toss in my face. And maybe they were to her. "You could have just said something," I said. "What, like, hey babe, I'm done pretending to want this life." "That'd be easier," she snapped. "You'd have cried, begged, done that thing where you make it all your fault." "You lied," I said. "I survived," she snapped back. She pushed past me, grabbed her keys. "I'm taking the kids to my mom's. You can sit here and sulk like a wounded puppy if you want, but I'm not doing this drama parade. Grow up, Mark." She walked out. Slammed the door. Her car roared to life and peeled down the street, taillights fading like the last ember of something that had long stopped being fire. I didn't chase her. I went to the bedroom. Opened the closet. Looked at the shelf where we kept our old photo albums. Wedding. Honeymoon. Mason's first birthday. I pulled them down, one by one, and started throwing them into a black trash bag. Not violently. Not angrily. Just methodically. Click. Grab. Drop. By the time she came back 3 hours later, I was sitting on the porch, that bag at my feet. She walked up, squinted at it. "What's that?" I stood, met her eyes. "Us." She laughed. A sharp, biting chuckle like she was watching a kid try on his father's suit. "You're so dramatic," she said, stepping past me, heels clicking across the wooden planks. "You think throwing out some dusty albums means anything?" I didn't answer. Just watched her open the front door and vanish into the house like the whole thing wasn't smoldering behind her. I stood there for a while. Just me in the bag. Wind catching the edge of an old photo poking out, her holding Mason, smiling, covered in frosting. Back when she looked at him like a miracle. Back when she looked at me. I grabbed it, tucked it back in. Tied the knot tighter. Set the whole thing by the curb. Inside, she was in the kitchen again. Pouring juice, acting like everything was reset. The kids ran in and hugged me like they hadn't just spent the afternoon with the woman who blew a hole through her family. Mason held a paper crown he made at Nana's. Chloe was sticky with something red and giggling. "Daddy, we got donuts," she said. I picked her up. Her tiny arms clutched my neck. She smelled like sugar and baby shampoo. That's the part no one warns you about, how betrayal doesn't stop time. Your life still moves. Still has joy. It just bleeds from both sides now. Jessica didn't look at me. Just kept wiping the counter. That night, we didn't speak. She curled up on the couch like a satisfied cat, watching some show about real estate. I stayed in the dining room, scrolling through lawyer sites, checking the clock every 2 minutes. At 11:12, her phone buzzed. I didn't touch it. Didn't need to. I saw her glance at it, smirk. The way she typed back, quick and fluttery. Her thumb moved with rhythm. That same rhythm. "You going to bed?" I asked. She looked up like she'd forgotten I was there. Eventually. That was it. I didn't say goodnight. Just walked past her, up the stairs. My heartbeat wasn't loud, but it was steady. Like I was counting the seconds before something broke. At 1:03 a.m. I heard her come up. She didn't come into our room. She went to the guest room. The next morning, I woke up early. Got the kids dressed, fed, dropped off at school without waking her. I came back home, packed a bag. My laptop. 2 pairs of jeans. 3 shirts. Toothbrush. Left my wedding ring on the counter next to the coffee pot she never turned off. She walked in just as I zipped the duffel. "You leaving?" I looked at her. "Yeah." "Where?" "My brother's." She nodded. No protest. No tearful scene. You'll be back. Don't know. She leaned on the wall, arms crossed, head tilted like this was amusing. You're really going to throw all this away because I needed something you couldn't give me? I stared at her. She shrugged. At least I was honest. You were never honest, I said. Her eyes flickered. Just a second. But enough. You want me to beg? She asked, voice suddenly lower. Slower. No, I said, slinging the bag over my shoulder. I want you to feel it. Feel what? What it's like to stand in a burning house and realize you lit the match. My brother Nate's couch was stiff and smelled like old pizza and bachelor survival. But it was freedom. A sanctuary. No perfume cloud, no carefully placed lies. Just space and silence and the hum of his busted ceiling fan. He didn't ask questions at first. Just handed me a beer and turned on the game. It was his way of saying, I've got you. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay there with my eyes wide, staring at the ceiling. Every memory, good and bad, looped like a cruel highlight reel. The first time I kissed Jessica behind the bleachers. The way she whispered yes when I proposed on her birthday. Mason's birth. Chloe's first steps. All of it tainted now. Coated in the grime of her duplicity. I checked my phone. No messages. Not even a where are you or a can we talk. That's when I knew she'd been waiting for this. For me to walk out. Maybe she didn't expect it to happen that morning, but she knew it was coming. And she didn't care. The next day, Nate came back from the store with coffee and a look on his face like he'd stepped into something foul. You need to see this, he said, handing me his phone. It was a photo on Facebook. Jessica. At some rooftop lounge. Tyler's arm draped over her shoulder like he'd claimed her, marked her. She was holding a cocktail, beaming, eyes squinting against the sunset. Posted the night I left. Caption, New beginnings dizzy. She hadn't even waited 24 hours. No privacy. No shame. Just a polished image of betrayal with a glittery filter. That was the moment my chest actually hurt. Like physical pain. She wasn't mourning. She was celebrating. I drove back that evening. Didn't tell her I was coming. Didn't knock. She was in the kitchen again, her favorite stage. She turned around, startled. Mark? I walked in, set my phone down on the table, the picture glowing on the screen. She barely blinked. You didn't even wait a day. She crossed her arms. Why would I? You left. You were already gone before I walked out that door, I said, voice rising. Just too much of a coward to admit it. She snorted. Oh, now I'm the coward? You ran away, Mark. You ran. To keep from burning the whole damn house down, I snapped. To stop myself from screaming in front of our kids. From showing them the kind of man their mom crawled into bed with behind their father's back. Don't you dare, she hissed. Don't you dare use them. I'm not. You already did. She stepped closer. You want the truth? I was done years ago. You stopped listening. You stopped seeing me. I saw you, I said through clenched teeth. I saw you every damn day. I just didn't realize you were performing. She stared at me for a long beat. Then she asked, quietly, why didn't you fight for us? And I looked her dead in the eye and said, why would I? That shut her up. I walked past her, grabbed the paperwork from my bag, dropped it on the counter. You'll be served in a week. I'm filing. She didn't cry. She didn't beg. She just looked away and said, fine. Fine. Like a decade was a movie she didn't finish watching. I walked out. Got in my car. Drove until the sky turned purple. And for the first time in weeks, I felt something close to peace. Divorce is a strange animal. It doesn't roar. It doesn't snarl. It seeps. It drips into your life like a cracked pipe behind the wall, silent, steady, corrosive. You don't notice it until your foundation starts to stink. Jessica didn't fight the papers. That shocked me more than anything. I expected a screaming match, threats, maybe even crocodile tears. But when the envelope arrived at the house, all she sent back was a single text. Got it. Let me know what you want to do with the furniture. The woman who used to argue for 40 minutes over salad dressing had just accepted the collapse of our life like it was a dinner reservation getting canceled. I took the bedroom set. She kept the dining table. We split the couches, one went to her, the other into Nate's garage. Fair division, cold execution. But it wasn't until I started packing up the garage that I found it. The box. Labeled Summer 14 in Jessica's handwriting. Inside, a shoebox filled with cards, notes, little mementos from the early days, ticket stubs, concert bracelets, a motel key from our first spontaneous road trip. And tucked beneath them, a photograph. Her. And Tyler. From before. Before the perfume. Before the new wardrobe. Before the gym schedule. Before I had any clue. Date on the back, June 2023. 7 months ago. which meant she hadn't just fallen into someone's arms during a rough patch. She planned this, planted it, nurtured it, watered it like a secret garden in the dark. My hands were trembling as I held the photo. Not with rage, not with sadness, with confirmation. She didn't trip into this. She jumped. I took the box, drove to her place. Didn't text, didn't call. Just knocked. She opened the door wearing one of his shirts. I could tell. The way it hung, oversized, smelled like cologne that wasn't mine. "What are you doing here?" she asked, flat. I handed her the box. "You forgot this." She took it without a word, looked inside, paused at the photo. Then she smiled. That little sideways smirk that always used to mean I got away with it. I turned to leave, but she stopped me. "You really don't get it, do you?" she said. I turned slowly. "Get what?" "I waited," she said, stepping into the doorway. "For years. I begged you to look at me, to see me, but you were always somewhere else. Work, bills, fixing crap around the house. You thought providing was enough. I was trying to build a life for us, and I was trying to feel alive in it," she snapped. "Tyler didn't make me cheat. You did, by being nothing for too long." I stared at her. "You're really going to rewrite this like you're the victim," I said. She leaned in, lips tight. "I'm not rewriting anything. I'm just not going to apologize for finally living." I took a step back. "I hope you live," I said. "I really do. But not in our house. Not with our kids watching you set matches to your promises and calling it freedom." I walked off. She didn't follow. I didn't want her to. This wasn't about fixing anything anymore. This was about remembering how to stand up without her shadow. The days that followed were surreal. Like drifting through a house someone else decorated, wearing someone else's clothes, trying to remember how your own voice sounds. I moved into a short-term rental, one of those bland furnished apartments with beige walls and zero personality. It smelled like cleaning chemicals and quiet despair. But it was mine. No perfume. No secrets. No shadows of Tyler lurking in the corners. The kids came on weekends. Jessica and I communicated through emails. Short. Robotic. Mason needs his allergy meds. Chloe left her backpack. Switching pickup to 4 p.m. Every message colder than the last. It wasn't co-parenting. It was parallel parenting. Like two ghosts watching the same movie from different rooms. But the kids? God, they noticed. Mason asked me once, during bath time, "Are you mad at mommy?" I froze. "Why do you ask, bud?" He shrugged, playing with a rubber shark. "She cries a lot when she thinks I'm sleeping." That hit like a truck. Not because I pitied her, but because our children were now the collateral damage of her war for excitement, for validation. She'd burned the village and left them to sift the ashes. I stayed quiet, just kissed the top of his wet hair and said, "Mommy and Daddy are figuring things out." He nodded like that meant something. It didn't. The next morning, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. "Hello? Mark?" It was him. "Tyler." I went cold. Completely still. "What do you want?" "I just thought we should talk," he said, like he was asking me for a beer. "There's nothing to talk about." "She's not doing well," he said. "I thought you should know." "Not my problem," I said flatly. "She made her bed. She misses the kids. She has a custody agreement. She can see them." He sighed. "You know she's not the villain here." I laughed. "Couldn't help it. You slept with a married woman, while she was lying to her husband. In his bed. You don't get to give moral commentary." He didn't answer for a second. Then, I didn't expect to fall for her. But I did. I hung up. That night, I wrote everything down. Not for a therapist. Not for court. For me. The nights she came home late. The lies. The smirks. The moment I saw her in that hotel parking lot, eyes glowing under someone else's hand. Every betrayal cataloged. Every wound inked in silence. I wasn't just grieving her. I was grieving the man I was with her. The version of me that believed love meant sacrifice. That if I just worked harder, gave more, stayed quiet, it would all work out. But it didn't. Because she didn't want a partner. She wanted an audience. And I finally stopped clapping. The first time I saw her in public after everything exploded, it was at Chloe's school recital. One of those little auditorium things with folding chairs, bad acoustics, and a sea of overexcited parents clapping like they were at Carnegie Hall. I got there early. Front row. Made sure Chloe could see me when she stepped onto that stage with her glitter-covered construction paper crown and off-key rendition of This Little Light of Mine. She spotted me, smiled like the world had stopped spinning, and waved so hard her crown nearly fell off. Then I saw Jessica. She was at the back. Standing. No Tyler. Just her, arms crossed, sunglasses still perched on her head even though we were indoors. She didn't wave. She didn't smile. She watched me. After the show, Chloe ran into my arms first. Jessica approached a minute later, slower, like she was calculating every step. "Hey," she said. I nodded. "Hey." Chloe darted between us, asking if we saw her spin, if we liked the song, if she could have ice cream. Jessica crouched down and kissed her cheek. "You were amazing, baby." Chloe ran off toward Mason. We stood there. Two statues pretending to be human. Two people who once shared a bed, now sharing a 3-foot gap filled with regret and untold things. "You look tired," she said. "Yeah. You don't." She smiled at that, but it didn't reach her eyes. "I heard you hung up on Tyler." I looked at her. "You two having problems already?" She shrugged. "It's not what you think." "Oh, good," I said, my voice dry. "Because what I think is that you blew up our lives for a man who's already calling me to do damage control." She looked away. "It's complicated." "No," I said. "It's actually really simple. You cheated. You lied. You abandoned everything we built. And now you're realizing the grass wasn't greener, it was just artificial turf rolled out on a rooftop bar." She flinched. Just a twitch. "But enough. You think I don't regret parts of this?" she said quietly. "I don't care what you regret," I said. "You don't get to walk back into this like it's a revolving door." "I still care about you," she whispered. "Too late. I miss us." "There is no us," I said, stepping back. "There's me. There's the kids. And there's the wreckage you left behind." She didn't argue. Didn't plead. She just stood there, watching me walk away, holding the pieces of her performance like props from a play that had long since closed. Later that night, Chloe asked why Mommy was sad. I didn't lie. "Because sometimes," I said, tucking her into bed, "when you make the wrong choice, you don't get to take it back." She blinked, quiet, absorbing. "Is she still our mommy?" "Always," I said. "But she's not my person anymore." And that somehow was enough. The lawyer's office was silent except for the tapping of a pen against a marble desk. I sat across from Jessica for the final mediation, no judge yet, no courtroom, just papers and tension and everything we used to be carved into legal language. She wore navy blue. Hair pulled back. Not a single tear. Not even the hint of one. I looked over the agreement. Custody split 50-50. Assets divided. No alimony. She didn't even ask for the car. She just wanted it clean. Quick. Done. It was almost too easy. Like she wanted to erase every trace of me, even if it meant cutting off her own arm. When it came time to sign, her hand didn't shake. Mine didn't either. The lawyer glanced up. "Any final statements?" Jessica shifted. Crossed her legs. "I just want peace," she said. I nodded. "Then stop making war." She looked away. Afterwards, we ended up in the parking lot at the same time. She walked to her car, paused at the door, then turned. "You know," she said, "Tyler wasn't supposed to be anything. Just something to remind me I still had a pulse." "And then you let him detonate a family," I replied. She looked genuinely surprised. "I didn't do this alone." I stepped closer, arms folded. "You're right. I made mistakes. I lost myself in work. I wasn't present enough. But I never disrespected you. I never strayed. I never chose someone else over the life we built. You made me feel invisible. You made yourself invisible the day you stopped trying," I shot back. "And when things got hard, you didn't speak. You vanished. You put on perfume and stilettos and gave your best to someone else while I held the damn house together." She stared at me, eyes flickering like static. "I wanted to feel alive," she whispered. "And now?" I asked. "Do you?" She opened her mouth. Closed it. Took a breath. "No." I didn't gloat. I didn't smile. I just nodded. "Then that's on you," I said. "Not me. Not Tyler. You." She leaned against the car, suddenly looking smaller than I'd ever seen her. "I thought you'd always be there." I looked up at the sky. The clouds were heavy, gray. Storms brewing. I said. "Until you weren't." I turned and walked away without looking back. I didn't need to. The chapter was closed. The ink was dry. The fire was out. But the smoke? That would linger a while. A month passed. The first real month where she wasn't in my house, in my bed, in my air. The kids adjusted slowly, questions at first, small bursts of confusion, then routine. Children adapt faster than adults. They find new normals where grown-ups nurse ghosts. Chloe started asking to bring her stuffed giraffe between houses. Mason insisted on keeping one pair of his sneakers at mine and the other at hers, so it's even, he said. Fairness matters when your world's been split into halves. I got into a rhythm. Wake up. Make breakfast. Drop-offs. Work. Grocery runs. Movie nights. Life wasn't exciting. It wasn't cinematic. But it was mine. Pure. undiluted by lies or tension or the acid taste of suspicion. Then one evening, Nate and I grabbed dinner at a bar downtown. Casual place. Old wood, faded signs, the kind of joint where nobody cares what your story is. Halfway through my burger, Nate went quiet. "Don't turn around," he said. "She's here." I turned anyway. Jessica. At the bar. Alone. No Tyler. She looked different. Not worse, just dimmed. Like a candle that had flickered too long and burned out at the edges. She hadn't seen me yet. Nate muttered, "We can go?" "No," I said. "Let her see." It took a few minutes. But eventually she did. Her eyes scanned the room, froze when they landed on me. She stared. I didn't move. Then she stood and walked over. "Hi," she said, trying for soft. "Careful. Jessica. You look good." I nodded. "I am." She bit her lip. "Can we talk?" I tilted my head. "Why?" I've been thinking." "Don't," I said. "You did all your thinking when you had someone else in your bed. That's not fair." "No," I said, my tone even. "It's accurate." She hesitated. Then, in a voice barely above the hum of the jukebox behind her, "Tyler and I are done." I didn't flinch. Didn't blink. I figured. It wasn't what I thought it would be. "It never is," I said. "You traded a life for a fantasy. Now the fantasy's over and you're standing in the wreckage looking for comfort." "I miss you," she whispered. I looked her square in the eyes. "No. You miss who I was when I still believed in you." That hit her. She stepped back. Eyes glossy. "I'm sorry." I shrugged. "Too late." Then I turned back to my food. Nate didn't say a word. Just handed me a fry like it was communion. And I swear to God, that bite tasted better than any kiss she ever gave me. It's been 6 months. I see Jessica now only during handoffs. The door opens, one kid rushes out, the other lingers a second longer, always looking back. She stands in the doorway, arms crossed, expression unreadable. Sometimes she says hi. Sometimes she doesn't. She's not with Tyler. That burned out fast. No surprise there. You can't build a future with someone who helped you set fire to your past. I heard from mutuals that she tried dating again. Didn't go well. They say she looks tired now. Not in the physical sense, but like a candle burned at both ends, wondering how the light vanished so fast. As for me, I moved to a new place. Not big, not flashy. But it's warm. Honest. Every inch of it is mine. The fridge only holds food I like. The bed has space but no cold shoulders. The closet doesn't hide secrets, just clothes and peace. The kids are thriving. Mason's playing soccer. Chloe sings all the time now, her voice echoing through the apartment like bells. They laugh more. Ask less. Whatever confusion they carried is starting to fade. And me, I've changed. There's a sharpness to my quiet now. A clarity in my solitude. I know who I am without her. Not bitter. Not broken. Just reborn. She tried to unmake me with her betrayal. Tried to twist my reflection until I couldn't recognize it. But I came back stronger. One morning I found an old note she'd written me. Tucked inside a box of winter clothes I hadn't unpacked since the move. The handwriting was familiar, sharp loops tilted left. It read, "You're the safest place I've ever known." I stared at it for a while. Then I lit a match. Watched it curl, blacken, disappear. Because I'm not a place anymore. I'm a man. And I don't wait around to be appreciated. Here's what I've learned: if someone asks, "Why didn't you fight for us?" and the answer is, "Because you were the one setting fire to it," then walk. Don't run. Don't cry. Walk. Walk steady. Walk free. And don't look back.